Hey guys, welcome back. It's Lucid. I don't have anybody joining me for this episode, but you gotta make my numbers. We gotta catch up. So here I am recording this. It's turn 39 in NewCasting, and we have a message from Lemuria. I did not expect an attack that soon, but Ulm's attack comes after I weaseled my way into all the free real estate I could. So it gives me a clear thing to do. Okay, so he's saying basically, I've gotten as much like free shit as I could. Now it's time to fight. That's a lot of dead ghosts. I think I invested too many without proper support, but I also had a lot of dead mages on their side. Yeah, that was actually not from him killing them, but from a burned out communion. It'll be curious to see what you think of the trade. I think the trade was actually really bad for Lemuria because strategically it means they can't actually, unless they have like rigor mortis or something we're not seeing yet, they just don't have the numbers to take a straight up fight if Ulm wants to start marching at them. The only thing that's good about it is that they're potentially in a position to win a raiding war against Ulm. And but they were in a position before that fight took place. So their position is definitely worse from the fight, but they still may be okay in terms of just being able to come out ahead in territory. I have a bunch of testing homework to do, especially with Rigor Mortis unlocked next turn. Okay, so that's coming online to see if I can take a big fight. Meanwhile, we'll raid in direction of his cap. So the thing is, though, for Rigor Mortis to work, it's like if it's going to take 8 turns for Rigor Mortis to set in, or something like that, for things to start fatiguing out. Oftentimes it's, I think, a little more. You need to have ghosts alive at that point. So you need a lot of ghosts. Like if you have 400 ghosts, it's possible Ulm will kill all of them before Rigor Mortis sets in. But if you have 800 ghosts, there will still be some left over, and then you win the fight and kill everything on Ulm's side with like 200 ghosts left over. So we'll see. On Diplo, asked around to see who'd be interested in free Ulm territory. Abyssia and Joman seem to be the best positioned / more willing, but they're also at war. Let's hope that concludes soon. We get a message from ctis. Apparently retreating assassins just die. 2 poisoners for a cursed tyrant doesn't seem a great trade. Tyrants are very annoying for this defense. Without them, I would probably be pushing phlegra out by now. Guess I need to convince someone to stab phlegra. I can probably kill tyrants. Banefire, Gifts of Heaven, Communion seem like the best choice. Lost too many sages to that random event down south. Yeah, we saw that. That was really unfortunate. All right, let's start with Lemuria. See if we get any cool battles here. Okay, so Ulm moves in, loses a lot of Ghoul Guardians. I think this must be friendly fire from crossbows. This is like the main problem of having. Yeah, this can be friendly fire. Oh, it was dust to dust. Wow. That's actually really good to know. That was just PD. There was this commander spamming dust to dust, killed 9 Ghoul Guardians. I mean, that's 180 gold from 1 PD, basically. That's amazing. All right, Lemuria attacks here with the console and the cursed console. And now some guys died. He lost a Hawkmeister, and I think this was actually to apostasy. But Lemuria is raiding, which is what they should be doing. Okay. This actually is really significant because this army can potentially jump on top of Ulm's capital. I think one of these consoles, they're running around with like 50 ghosts. I don't really love this, or well, it's 25 ghosts and some spirits. The thing is the consoles are going to be fine on their own for most light raiding. This again is like broad generalizations, right? But it's like you're just gonna not have these ghosts in some other army, so it's usually better to like raid with other stuff. Like put the ghosts on a different commander and then raid with the consoles. But The thing that Ulm has to figure out here, if they're going to persecute this war with Lemuria, is they need to figure out how to protect against stuff like this. Like, you need to be able to kill a couple consuls. There's actually pretty good ways to do it. Just enough PD and solar rays will do it, like 3 casters of solar rays. Should probably kill this. Because the solar rays will delete the troops real fast and then kill the consuls. Maybe 4 casters. So you need to protect some of those places. The problem, though, is now... like, this army can hit here and here and here. Also here. Sorry, I've got a little bit of the yawns. But the thing is if you put up a defense for something like this, that defense may get hammered by something like this. And defending the capital is not going to be trivial. Sorry, guys. Still recovering from COVID. It's a little late. Video production quality here is not as good as normal. But yeah, I think this is like the big question. So you can like move here and take this. Pretty nice little province here. 4 gem province. Okay, this army moves here and takes this. He's going to have rigor mortis soon. Can this army kill through rigor mortis? I actually don't think so. I think this army loses to rigor mortis. This army has law, does not have in it most of the Black Templar. And the Black Templar are what are going to kill things very quickly. And I don't think within here either we have... I mean, like, these guys can do solar rays. This army, like, except for the Ghoul Guardians, which actually can get ruined by dust to dust, is not going to hold up very well. Like, it's not going to kill things fast enough. Like, okay, maybe the ghosts will have trouble killing it, but this army will get wrecked by rigor mortis. It isn't killy enough. It's not going to kill enough ghosts fast enough, I don't think. And what that means, if we look at it, is that this army should not really be able to take infrastructure by itself. I think what he really needs to do is put these Black Templar in this army, start taking these forts. I think with the Black Templar, he probably can fight through rigor mortis. And he must have a flaming arrows caster, and I don't think we have any sign of one. Like, okay, we've got some acolytes, some black priests. Do we have... yeah, I mean, there's no flaming arrows caster. These rangers must have flaming arrows. I mean, it's not optional, is what I'm trying to say. So we'll see. Ulm just had a really big victory against Lemuria, but he's got really hard decisions to make with how he's going to defend his cap while these armies are out of position to do it. How's he going to defend some of this land from deep Lemurian raiding? And, you know, meanwhile, he needs to take this infrastructure. And what he doesn't know is that rigor mortis is almost online. And rigor mortis is going to make it so this army can get wiped. So this will be really interesting to see how that plays out. But anyway, that is Ulm. Let's go next to ctis, since he sent us a message as well. Oh gosh. phlegra using Enceladus. Oh, what a big badass. Stymphalian wings. So he gets fear and trample and flying. Loses attack skill. It's a firebrand. These don't stack my Brontosaurus. This doesn't work. So he's wasting one of the miscellaneous slots. But Fire Shield's nice. Let's see what he casts. Strength of Giants, not what I would choose. He already is going to pretty much kill things. Strength of Giants not... I think he normally would do like Temper Flesh, things like that. It's a little bit of a questionable script there. Okay, finds an Empoisoner here. If you guys die, I just want to say... Oh, it's got a water bottle. Oh, this is a fancy empoisoner. Okay, friendly fire from magma bolts. Was this another water bottle? Oh, man, losing 2 water bottles. What did he cast? Protection? Oh, that's actually a really cool combo. I didn't know. So it looks like we can't see the assassin battles, but it looks like protection will target the water elemental, which is cool. Like, there was a trick with Star Children assassins where you could body ethereal the water elemental, and that was, like, really hard to kill. But it doesn't really work anymore with the real-time combat. It worked when combat was turn-based. But apparently the range on protection is enough that this works, so that's kind of cool. Okay, so that's a painful loss. But I don't know. I mean, ctis is pretty good at fighting from their back, but this is not the kind of war you want to be in as ctis. And they were trying to find people to come stab phlegra for them, but I don't see that happening. I think if you're ctis, you have to take fights. You just roll out and fight here. I mean, you obviously need tools to kill these tyrants, but Banefire, especially if he's not doing Phoenix Pyre, should be plenty. We'll just have to see. So I don't think we have any more battles here to watch. Let's come over and take a look here. Okay. He kills these guys. Do we have any more Ryujin? Oh, this is Fertility Cult. Fertility Cult has taken root. Okay. God, those are the worst events. They are the actual worst. But these guys just having a staring contest. No real things happening. Oh. Joman does attack Bogus. He's bringing the Earth Snake. Ooh, a lot of water elementals. Water elementals should do pretty well here. Because, okay. That guy just gets yeeted by Mind Burn. Sadly, that guy will get away, but okay. This was probably real nice for him. He probably got a decent amount of gear. There's always a nice gear donation in here. So that's pretty good. Takes the Sea Dog province back. And we don't really see much other movement here. Ooh, we do see Sea Trolls. There's a Sea King. So he summoned a Sea King. I wonder if he's going to come try to kill these Sea Trolls finally. I mean, it's such a valuable province. Arco sieging this back. Where did Agartha go? So Agartha moved here. Interesting. So his crossbows are tearing those guys up. And Bakemono get in the archer. So he lost a decent amount of stuff, 40 dudes. A lot of it was Bakemono and Long Dead. But it was 25 PD. That was still a good gold trade for him. The problem he's going to be running into, so he's still between this army of Arco and his capital. So he can go sit on top of Arco's capital. The problem, though, is he's going to have all of his retreat routes cut off. So if he loses, like let's say there's a foul vapor trap here, and then this is a small army, and then something else happens. I mean, it's also possible he gets, like this whole army could get killed by a really expert foul vapor trap, where, you know, you gear up the caster and you make them thug and things like that, which is something Arco's capable of doing as a nation. They could just stack wipe this and have this army move behind. The other risk, though, is that it's possible that Agartha just stands still, and there's a pretty predictable move from Arco that Arco is going to move here next turn, pretty much guaranteed. If he does, you know, Agartha has a lot of options. They could PD dump and then fight with this army. I mean, if they were confident enough, they could just fight with the army without a PD dump. What kind of PD was here? Slingers? It's not very good PD, but, you know, he could take a fight here, and with this army, if he has a decisive win over this army, if he can somehow engineer that in this province, then he basically is going to get gifted Arco's capital. And he's got a lot of troops here, which he really should be moving out, especially with Jomon occupied in another war. Like, I mean, he could even just take this army on a wild ride, right? Like, he could come move down here. He'll drag behind him this army from Arco, and that will free up this province just to be taken by whatever troops he has over here. So he really should mobilize this army and come take this fort, probably while dragging this army away from it. But like I said, there's a lot of risk with that plan too, because, you know, he could get like Val Vapor trapped or whatever. But yeah, that's that. I think we've covered that for Bogarus. He just patrols out a bunch of scouts after taking this. Get some villains out of here too, and a monster boar. Okay. And we'll see if he can make it over here and take this throne from Patala. That would be really nice for him as well. For Calum, he is about to crack this fort from Patala. Might be able to get to this throne from Patala as well. Things looking kind of okay. I mean, Calum, I think, was number 2 in province size. And we had like a more experienced player that kind of subbed in. And he has since, I forget exactly when, but he's, I think, long now since subbed out. And we have, you know, somebody who's more comparable to the experience of other players in the game playing the Calum position now. So that was kind of cool that he was able to turn that position around. Though maybe a bit less cool for Calum. I mean, not for Calum, for Patala. Though he didn't even really do super expert things to turn it around. I mean, he kind of got more lucky than anything by having ctis and phlegra bump on the cap, and then, you know, he was lucky Patala went and picked a war with Bogarus while he went and came in and ate him. So, anyway, you know, super cool. But yeah, not much happening over here. Just patrolling out scouts. Abyssia, Lemuria. I think that covers everybody for this turn. And it's only 17 minutes. We're under 20 minutes, so we'll go ahead and pull up the next one. All right, we've got turn 40 here. So, message from Abyssia. Memo on the desk. Memo from the desk of President Gerald Ford. Subject, need a new plan. I think my last message said something about a plan to use Call Horror against the Ryujin. I've now tested it, and it appears it doesn't work at all. I'm sure everyone will have a good laugh at my last message. Time for a new plan. Going enchantment 7 for protection against foul vapors, and then blood 8 to get life for life. Yeah, life for life will fuck up Ryujin. Phlegra using Black Hawks against ctis. Does it work? No. Well, let's go over here to Abyssia. Let's see if is anything happening. Okay. Ooh, maybe this is a new and improved Bronze Colossus. Nope, still extremely questionable gear choices. It's kind of funny. I think in the comments of the video before, the Abyssia player was like, yeah, I didn't know you could actually put armor on them. Like, I thought it didn't stack with protection. I probably should do a video on how, like, all the different kinds of protection stack. It's not very complicated, but it's kind of one of the things I just assume people know. I mean, this guy's still a beast without even not properly geared. Oh, and he's doing Shockwave. Okay. So this is actually really cool. He's now doing kind of what he should do. Oh, he's casting Leeching Touch too? Yeah, that's a really sexy tight Colossus here. But Jomon moves here. It looks like he loses a Master Shugenja to an Archer. So that guy died. He got bleeding. Too bad. But he gets this throne, which is a really high value throne. And again, we can kind of see Abyssia keeping their armies, like using their forts to protect the armies. I don't really love this as a move. In general, just sitting there with your army out in the open, also not a great idea, because you're basically saying, hey, look, this is what I've got. Do you have anything that can kill it? If you do, whenever you're ready, come try to do it. So like, just having this army like sit here isn't great, but neither is having it sit inside a fort. Like, ideally, if you're at war with somebody, you want to be using the armies to take objectives, to apply pressure, right? So don't love this. Don't love this. Okay. Okay, Mist-Covered Highlands attacking. He gets some Joman. Oh, Joman pings with scouts. Interesting. Okay, he's attacking here. Who do we have? I think this is... Wait, what the fuck? He's got a Dragon Pearl. And 1 hit point left. Oh, he's trying to save the Dragon Pearl. He's trying to put this on the Sea King, probably. Though it may go on... Does he fill up the inventory slots of these guys? He does. So he's trying to get this... Oh, no, this guy has an open spot. He's trying to get this Dragon Pearl to go on the Sea King. Which is smart as hell. And some water elementals takes us easily. So that was really cool. That's kind of clever. Presumably this guy picked it up after one of the Ryujin died. Anyhow, that's very cool. It'll be cool to see if it actually does go on the Sea King. From Joman's perspective, he's now got a lot of stuff in the area. And it's possible with some things like, we know from Abyssia's message, he's going for enchantment 7 for protection from foul vapors. One thing he also could look at, he might have to like blood empower a mage, like a nature mage. But if you go up here, you also get purified blood, which is really good. So you can just go up blood instead of enchantment and pick up poison resistance. So that's probably like a little optimization he could do there to get blood aid a little faster. But until those things exist, it's possible that Joman has the research. Well, let's take a look at the research graphs. Yeah, Joman's number 1. Abyssia is not far behind him, though. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible Joman could pull off a win with, like, if he has enchantment 7 before Abyssia, do, like, a Foul Vapors play. I don't know. There's a lot of hesitancy on both sides. Joman now has a lot of agency, right? Like, he's not really involved in a 2v1 very much. Presumably, Arco's going to attack him at some point, but, he's not really picking a fight over here with Bogarus. So he has the agency to potentially come over here and just kill Abyssia. But he seems pretty hesitant, too. And I think there's a good reason for that. Like, you start attacking into Abyssia, you start having to do some math, like what happens if 30 fire elementals pop out, or horrors or things like that. Your plans can go sideways pretty fast when you start like factoring in these things. Because 30 fire elementals is oppressive as hell. That's the only thing I know to say. So I think it's a little understandable, but like being in a Cold War is usually not a great way to be. So it's either like you have to come up with a plan and execute it, or probably you should get out of the war. Got all these troops on the border with Agartha are probably giving him PTSD. Speaking of Agartha, let's come down and look and see what happened. Okay, so he moved from here to here. Loses a few long dead. These guys didn't even put PD behind him, which is a mistake. Because we would expect this army to bump into a PD, so he didn't even get to see what was in the army. We get to see because of the Indies, but unless he had a scout here, he wouldn't get to see. And the strange thing about doing this instead of coming on the capital is that now this army can cut him off and get to the capital in time. So I have no idea what the player is going to do here. Is Agartha going to move here? So like, here's something that could happen. Arco is very likely going to move to the capital and defend it, right? If he does, then that means Agartha can get this army out by moving behind it and then getting between the army and this fort. And then he gets to go sit on top of the fort. He could also, if he moves here, he's a little trapped, right? Because then this army could potentially catch him whichever way he goes. If he wants to have a big fight, he could go move on top of the capital. I don't see him winning that. I think there's enough mage support here from Arco, and Arco can bring all of the mages here as well. Oh, this isn't the capital. Okay, there's just some fort. Sorry, the capital's here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see this going well. I don't really know what it's kind of an interesting little joyride. I just feel like he's got everything in one army, and that one army will probably lose if they have like a major run-in with the Arco army. So we'll see. It's possible Arco like splits his forces in front of him and like loses something. And it's possible this army is big enough that it just manhandles its way through whatever Arco throws at it. But I don't really see that happening. But we'll see. This fort, meanwhile, is popped. Nothing in the region to defend it. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. What is this? Got a ping on this throne. Any progress on the ctis phlegra war? Oh my god. All right, guys, get out the popcorn. This is the highlight of this episode. Zan, I am sorry you are not here to see this, but we are going to test if size 2 units are indeed roadkill. Ooh. Is the god here? Yeah, this is the god. So he's going to foul vapors, it looks like. He's got that nature gem. So foul vapors is up. Phlegra has a little tiny communion. Ooh, already got hit. Wait. Oh man, there's already some big banefires coming out. See a lot of decay ticks. Okay, these guys have punched through. But there's enough chaff around, they're not going to get to the mage core. So I don't think those guys actually were roadkill. The chariots got kind of wrecked. The problem, though, now is these guys are not punching through fast enough. And there's a lot of foul vapors and decay out. And that's just a lot of damage over time. Like, let's just look at the units who are alive here. Look at these. They're all beat to hell. They are beat to hell. Look at that. Nothing at full hit points, just about. And the thing is, and one of the nice things about doing foul vapors traps and stuff, and banefire as well, is a lot of these things are going to die when they get off. Like, retreat is not safe. Not all of them died, but a lot of them did. I kind of want to watch this again. Let's look at the banefires especially. Banefire, banefire. And the banefire just deletes whatever tile it hits. Banefire, banefire. It's a pretty good spell. I wonder if he would have been better served with these guys in a big box rather than having them split out. The problem when they get split out is they like run in and they get surrounded. You see how all these guys are surrounded and then they die. If they're in a big box, as they run deeper, like they have some flanks covered. But they're a little more vulnerable to evocations and stuff. I mean, this was actually really well scripted from ctis. I mean, he lost a bunch of tomb chariots, you know, which are valuable. And even though they're free spawn, you don't really want to be losing them. But he only lost one Magus. And he killed just a ton of gold of stuff. This is a great trade for him. Didn't lose his god or anything. I mean, he risked his god, and he risked the Tomb King, which, you know, hurt a little bit. But that was clean as hell. Oh, wait. This guy went all the way from here to here? Damn. He's got some fast movement. And they moved over here with another Lace Dragonian Tyrant. Let's see how he's kitting this guy out. Some kind of weird gear choices on the other one. Okay, Charcoal Shield, Frostbrand. I don't object exactly. I think you do want to put armor on them. Oh, wolves kill 2 shackled mages here. Just the wolves ignoring the fact that they're supposed to hit the front line. They're like, no, we're just going to run past you. Snipe some mages. Okay. Oh, they actually won that whole battle. That's kind of wild. The power of being undisciplined and just running past whatever troops are there in front of you. What is this event they got? Fertility cults, okay. Yeah, there's a few fertility cults hanging around here. But this was kind of cool. This is a real cool battle from ctis. And it wasn't a major commitment. He's still got a lot of stuff here. I mean, if he has a... I mean, if phlegra doesn't have Phoenix Pyre, which doesn't appear that they do, ctis has a very good shot at just, like, riding out and killing him. I mean, he has enough garbage. He can just ride out and Banefire all this stuff down. Especially if he's backing it up with, you know, Foul Vapors and stuff. So yeah, I hope to see this big army from ctis move out. This is pretty cool. You know, hit this as a stationary target. Just come in and blast it. There's a lot of things phlegra can do. Like if I, you know, like they can do Earthquake and stuff, which are all going to mess with like this Banefire strategy or what have you. But you got to play to win. You got to do what you can do. And I think as ctis, you don't play to win by sitting here. You got to ride out, take this army. You've got some momentum. Go try to turn it into a victory. See if you can take phlegra's cap. And you know, as I said, there's definitely counterplay, and like especially once they get Phoenix Pyre, dealing with Banefire and stuff starts being possible for the tyrants. But even still, I think ctis has a shot. I think if you're going to play to win, this is the moment. Go for it. Hopefully we see all these guys leave this fort and start going to town. Maybe broker a peace deal with Bogarus. Make sure these guys are going to be cool, because they did move up. So potentially Bogarus is not... this move to me is like a broadcast that Bogarus is about to come sit on this fort, which is a little shitty. And this is not something you want to fight as ctis. Like, oh, you're going to sit there and like Foul Vapors or Banefire, and Bogarus probably going to roll up here with like 30 air elementals or something stupid that's just going to ruin all of your plans. You can't afford to give this fort up, and if Bogarus wants to negotiate for it, you can't. There's nothing to negotiate with, right? Like, you can't afford to give this fort to Bogarus, so you probably have to fight them. So then it's probably like send all of your mages here, right? Have the big battle with Bogarus. If you win, then you could go turn on phlegra. So it actually is a bit more complicated, but we'll see. I mean, it's also possible Bogarus like disrespects ctis and doesn't want to spend 20 or 30 air gems on air elementals, and then in that case, it's possible that ctis just straight up trounces him without even really hardly losing anything. So that'll be interesting. Ctis, or Calum, this fort is cracked. The monkeys have moved out here. Otherwise, not a lot of action. We've already looked at these guys. Abyssia, I think we've already looked at as well. And I think... Oh. Lemuria pings this. Ulm comes over here and takes this. Patrolling out these forces here. Okay. So it looks like he's intercepted this small raiding party. And he's done it with his Templar, which I don't like. Because he needed these Templar with the main army to take infrastructure. Of course, they're able to trounce the consuls. Loses some wolves. I mean, this in and of itself is a fine trade. The problem is he needed these guys He's moved them farther away from where he needs them. Ooh. Lemuria with a sneaky attack on the throne. I didn't see this as a possible move. This is not the kind of war you want to fight with Lemuria, though. Like, if your war with Lemuria is looking like this, you're approaching it wrong. Let's take a look at this Grand Lemur. Ooh, he's got gems on him. But he gets yeeted right away. I'm not sure what he was supposed to cast with those gems. 3 gems is not... And this was an air random, too. And if he's going for Rigor Mortis, he doesn't have Wailing Winds. So I don't know what this could possibly be. Maybe Shadow Blast? Horde of Skeletons doesn't make sense to me. This is not what you want your war with Lemuria. Oh. Alright, man, we've got even more big fights here. Get out the popcorn. This is like 200 or 300 ghosts. And just a motley crew from these guys. Wow. Is he going to hold this? He's got some Bone Fiends, some Ghoul Guardians. He's not doing anti-magic. This actually is really significant. Because, like, we're not seeing... I mean, this is a new player game, right? So, like, I'm not expecting people to, like, come out with, like, their PhD thesis on killing Lemuria. But, like, even though they're not doing the things that I know they need to be doing, these Lemurian armies are getting crushed. He's got just enough chaff, and they're going to run into this Bloodhoff here. One of the vampire counts, and that guy is going to keep them at bay while these guys just hound them with dust to dust. And the Lemurian army is right near the breaking point. Oh, but he's going to lose a bunch of them now. But that's a lot of dust to dust coming out. Like, these guys are broken. Alright, so he loses a decent number of mages here, but they're not going to have much to say, I don't think, to these vampires. Ooh, this guy's coming in. Into melee. Strange, I would think you would want him on advance and cast. Hand of Death. Ooh. And these Ghoul Guardians are just doing work. A lot of them are paralyzed, but the writing is on the wall here. Wow, what a hold. I think Ohm got a little lucky here. I mean, he did a lot of things right. Like, he brought a lot of, like, death mages, spam dust to dust. And a lot of these guys who died didn't actually die because they're immortal. But 5 fortune tellers is a little expensive. But he killed 230 guys. But he lost a lot of his own stuff. He lost some Bone Fiends. He lost some Ghoul Guardians. And it was a great defense. The problem, though, is I don't think Lemuria, they took a big hit from this one, but yeah, they're pretty much stable after this big fight. Like, they can do this all day with you. Whereas you actually look at Ulm, he's actually lost troops. All right, Lemuria is mostly stable for the past 2 turns. Ulm has lost troops. God, that's so many troops. Yeah. I mean, when you fight Lemuria, you have to put this Doom stack together with supply items, with enough mages. You know, you protect your flanks, and you just go say, fuck you, I'm taking this fort. Fuck you, I'm taking this fort. Fuck you. And you just do that, like, repeatedly. And then you need enough stuff in the backline to deal with, like, various kinds of raiding. The problem is that rating could be anywhere from like a console to like 10 ghosts to like 100 ghosts to like 200 ghosts. So that does make it all very complicated. He's doing a decent job with the counter rating. You know, I mean, this is like expensive, but you know, okay. But this is not like, he needs to be taking infrastructure. This is not how you want to execute. Like, he's kind of, because there was like, okay, let's look at it this way. He had a big victory, right? But he wasn't able to make progress on that victory because he had to get pulled back so hard to raid, like to deal with the raiding. And you really just want to like, you need one army that just takes fort after fort after fort. You can burn down the forts behind you if you want to, too. You don't need to keep them up if you don't think you can defend them. But you just have to do that. And then you need enough stuff to deal. You don't have to win every single raiding battle, right? Like you can afford to say, okay, well, like, you know, we'll accept that if he comes here with an army of 200, he's going to take it, you know, and then, but if he goes other places, we'll fight and kill. So, you know, you don't have to have like a completely airtight counter raiding defense, but you need enough resources to execute a pretty exhaustive counter raiding program while also deploying your major army. The other thing that's a complication for this, of course, is that these ghosts are putting up like 200 something wall siege defense. So Lemuria can really sit inside these forts for a while. And that's why you probably need like an army of 300 or 400. Which doesn't leave a ton of troops to leave at home. And you need now a lot of supply items. I think it can be done. The problem, though, is that like this big win that he had, like this is how, let me explain it even in more detail. This is how Lemuria falls apart. You have a big win like this, and then you have a big army, right? And you say, fuck you, I'm taking your fort, right? And you move it on there. And Lemuria can't afford to give up forts. Like, their whole, when you're fighting Lemuria, you're really fighting forts. And a Lemuria that starts giving up infrastructure is in real bad shape. And so then Lemuria is going to be like, okay, well, I have to fight. Let's do the best we can, right? Especially if you're like, you have to crack the fort walls. If they can sit inside and just hold up the fort walls with siege defense, that's, of course, a different story. But assuming you've popped the fort walls, they're going to ride out to fight. And if you put an army together that they can't fight, which we have seen is possible, right, where you just are going to take hardly any losses and just crush it to a man, well, then, like, this army, that's when this army graph is going to go, like, katung, right, and really drop really hard. What's happened, though, is that Lemuria put enough raiding pressure on, it kept Ulm from, like, putting together, like, a big army to say, fuck you, we're taking your fort. And because that happened, Lemuria is not forced into a position where they have to commit a huge army and may like actually get wiped out. And what does that mean? It means they have a ton of troops, with which they can choose to like have these little raiding wars or like whatever, right? Whereas if you force them to like have a big battle and they lose like 800 ghosts, then it's like they don't, all of a sudden they don't actually have troops with which they can raid. So anyway, it's a kind of interesting dynamic, but it's been kind of cool. I mean, he, you know, Ulm's done a pretty good job shutting these down. And that was just PD, but I mean, there's a, you know, sizable battle here. He only lost a few infantry. There's a big battle here, sizable battle here, and then took this back. So, you know, super interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. There's things that make me optimistic for Ulm's decisions and choices and, you know, potential to win this war. But there's things that also make me, like, concerned. Like, I think, like, it's one of those things, like, tactically he's doing pretty well. But strategically, I don't think things are really swinging in his favor here exactly. I think that's it. And with that, we'll leave you and see you next time. Until then, take care.